And Gita, good morning. Oh, Lydia,
Morning.
Eva, everybody's here. Gita.
Yeah, good morning.
And who else? Nan, hello, Nan. And Gita Jr. or Gita Senior. All right. Well, very good. Let's open our books here. I Am That by Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj. And we are just, two questions shy of chapter 69. Whoops, let me get up my glasses real quick.
Hey, Jan.
Hey, looks like everybody's getting a shot of my shrine there.
Oh, it's beautiful.
All right, there we go. Now put on my windows so I can see clearly. All right, let's go back one question that seems like an odd question. This is a very odd question. Is this the right place? Maybe. So our questioner asks, forgive me a strange question. If somebody with a razor sharp sword would suddenly sever your head, what difference would it make to you? Does this does that seem like the right place to you guys? That does not sound at all familiar to me. But okay, we'll stick with it. It's an interesting question nonetheless. All right, and my line is there. So forgive me a strange question. If somebody with a razor sharp sword suddenly severed your head, what difference would it make to you? What a funny question to ask. Maharaj, none whatsoever. The body will lose its head. Certain lines of communication will be cut. That is all. Two people talk to each other on the phone and the wire is cut. Nothing happens to the people. Only they must look for some other means of communication. The Bhagavad Gita says the sword does not cut it. It is literally so. It is in the nature of consciousness to survive its vehicles. It is like fire. It burns up the fuel, but not itself. Just like a fire can outlast a mountain of fuel, so does consciousness survive innumerable bodies. Yeah, this is that struggle, I think, in spiritual life. It seemingly, at least for me, this the ultimate message of surrender is that all of this is going to go on as it goes on. And, these ideas of our control over it, these ideas of our taking responsibility for it, that's our karma, that's our delusion. That's what keeps us engaged and keeps us, I don't know, sort of in a teachable state, right? Because we're subject to all of the response of our assumed efforts. And that's how the certainly how the scripture of the moment is activated. Karma is kind of what holds us to the page to to read the scripture of the moment, to understand the scripture of the moment. But this notion is quite radical, and I was trying to deal with it, still trying to deal with it in my thoughts about my time in Colorado. There really was this feeling, this idea that Mother was carrying on, and that I was sort of just being led along by her hand. Call it a puppet hand, or almost like she was holding like invisible carrots or scents in front of me and kind of leading me along, so that it could feel like I was doing things. But the fact that when I thought about what I was doing, I really didn't have any idea, and so I understood. But that's the strangest thing to think, well, Mother says, Jesus says, look at the flowers of the field. They don't toil nor spin, and yet I tell you that Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like a one of them. Look at the birds of the air. They also do not work and toil, and yet the Lord feeds them. If he will feed the birds and the flowers and take care of them like that, how will he not take care of you? And so this real notion that really and truly that is the reality. And yet we weave such a narrative of fear to keep us so engaged and so gripping to our karma and to our sense of doership, our sense of being in control. You know, it's kind of fascinating. And here he's just saying, this isn't real, and he means it. This is not real. All of these things that we're going through, they're changing. There's nothing there. In the moment they are this, but the next moment they're that. And it's just always morphing around us. And yet somehow we keep trying to take it seriously. We keep trying to think that somehow things should remain unchanged, that somehow things should stay the way they are. I should keep this body. I should keep this mind. I should keep this face. I should keep this hair. I should keep everything going along. And when it slowly, slowly starts slipping, we get so surprised. Oh, whoa, 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 what's going on? What's happening? Or we get so sad, right? But how can that be? Right? Not just a matter of surrender, a matter of knowing the truth of things. Mother is not being cruel. She's setting us free. She's not being mean. She's opening the cage, and she's trying to make the cage as unappealing to us as possible so that we're willing to leave it. Right? That's what she's trying to do. That's what old age is. I insist on it. Old age is the brightest manifestation of grace, the brightest manifestation of grace, because mother's trying to let us out of the cage and we're clinging desperately to stay in it. And so she just keeps making it uglier, making it more painful, making it more distressing, trying to get us, you've seen on YouTube, they're trying to get the squirrel out of the cage and they're picking it up and shaking it, and that squirrel's not going anywhere. And that's how we are in this body, being squirrels in the body, not believing at all that it's going to be okay, that this is nothing more than taking off a pillowcase, right? Nothing more than a transition. That we as consciousness, we as the love in this world, we as the wisdom of this world, that we're transcendent. Love and wisdom have been a part of every single generation since the dawn of time, we assume, right? And that love and that wisdom is what we are. That is what we are in this universe. We're not bodies, consumers, mammals, hungry things, right? We are not. We are of spirit. We are of divinity. We are of freedom. And these bodies and these minds and what happens to them do not happen to us, right? We are the observer. Nothing happens to us. That's why he says, that the Bhagavad Gita literally says the sword does not cut it, right? So yes, this body falls subject to the sword, but the spirit is simply set free. The container is broken. It expands to fit its new container, which may be the universe, maybe another body. Who knows? So the questioner says, well, the fuel affects the flame, Maharaj, as long as it lasts. Change the nature of the fuel and the color and appearance of the flame will change. Now we are talking to each other, for this presence is needed. Unless we are present, we cannot talk. But presence by itself is not enough. There must also be the desire to talk. Above all, we want to remain conscious. We shall bear every suffering and humiliation, but we shall rather remain conscious. See, that's the paradox right there. That's the interesting little twist in our being, right? Above all, we want to remain conscious. We'll bear every suffering and every humiliation, but still we would rather remain conscious. Unless we revolt against this craving for experience and let go the manifested altogether, there can be no relief. We shall remain trapped, right? So absolutely right, Rena, this morning, that surrender, acceptance, Right? Not and surrender. I like acceptance even better than surrendering because surrendering, you know, surrendering you can be in a bad state and surrender. You can be in a defeated state and surrender. You can be broken and surrender. Right? But acceptance, which I think is more the hero's term, I accept this. That's a proactive thing. It's like I'm not surrendering like I'm being beaten, right? I'm accepting because I know this to be from God, from my beloved. I know this to be of the nature of love, even though it seems horribly difficult and rather challenging to go through. I accept this as love. I accept this as wisdom. I accept this as the very best and possible moment for me as it is, with all of its challenges and with all of its uh, difficulties, right? Boy, this is helpful to me this morning, I tell you. It's wonderful because this is how life gets, when we go through these growth periods. It seems like Mother really just cranks up the edges, pushes the pressure on in there. And if you just wake up in the morning and you stand up, I accept it. Come in. Yes. Stomp on the furniture. Mess up the carpets. I accept it. This is delightful. This is life. This is living. This is being. It's a treasure. The good, the bad, and all the in between. It's a treasure of experience, of magic, really, of wonder. We shall bear every suffering and humiliation, but we shall rather remain conscious, unless we revolt against this craving for experience and let go the manifested altogether. There can be no relief, right? So that's what's causing our lack of relief is our clinging, right? Our clinging, our constantly wanting the story to remain the same in a world where nothing remains the same. There can be no relief as long as we cling like that. We shall remain trapped. Questioner, you say you are the silent witness, and also you are beyond consciousness. Is there no contradiction in it? If you are beyond consciousness, what are you witnessing to? Maharaj, I am conscious and unconscious, both conscious and unconscious, neither conscious nor unconscious. To all this I am witness. But really, there is no witness, because there is nothing to be a witness to. I am perfectly empty of all mental formations, void of mind, and yet fully aware. This I try to express by saying that I am beyond the mind. Right? At one level, you read that and you're like, well, let's just pack a picnic and go to the lake for the day. Just what, what, what is somebody like me supposed to do with this idea of being both conscious and unconscious, neither conscious nor conscious? That I'm beyond consciousness itself, that there's nothing to view. Right? These are the little morsels we tie in the corner of our dhoti. These are little clues for later, right? Little snacks for understanding as we go through. But the beauty that we can hold on to here,
Yes.
is the wonderful thing. This notion that the safety of our soul, right, is really to be discovered, especially when life gets difficult, life gets challenging, because this is what he's really pointing at. All of this transcendent stuff, we can take it as like, ooh, I'm going to be that, or what's that going to be like? We can try and digest it with the mind. That's not the point of it, because it can't be digested by the mind. There's no way we're going to be able, with this mind that we've got, to understand this idea of both conscious and unconscious simultaneously, right? It's like trying to understand quantum physics, that they can put a particle in the state of moving and non-moving simultaneously. Well, try and understand that. Have all the fun you want trying to understand that. There's nothing there to be understood, right? What's being taught here is that we are infinitely safe, that our nature cannot be destroyed, that our consciousness, our awareness cannot be snuffed out, right? That no matter what happens to this body, no matter how long it takes to die, no matter what form of death it goes through, we will be on the other side of it untouched. That's the bottom line. You know, for some reason I have a lot of fear around death in the sense that I just don't want it to be painful. But then I think of my leg when I broke my leg. I didn't die from it. At least I don't think so. I didn't die from it, but I endured it just fine. You know, it's now a part of my history and a part of memory, just like everything else that's been jumbled in there. And it's no less or more important than the rest of the stuff. And so ultimately, it's good to know that death gets tossed on the same stack behind us, right? Oh, there it was. That was death. Rather, rather unexciting. Rather, that's what I imagine. It's going to be like, we're going to be like, what? That was it? That I worried my whole life for that. That was crazy, right? And so this is his point, and this is our point, and this is why we have been trained from the beginning to take refuge in God alone, right? Because God is that safety zone. God is the self, the soul, and that realm where things cannot be wetted, cannot be burned, you know, where the material world has no effect. That is our abode, right? That is our home and our refuge and our safety, and the only place that Mother tells us to come and guarantees us our safety there, our fulfillment. So I am conscious and unconscious, both conscious and unconscious, and neither conscious nor unconscious. To all this I am witness. But really there is no witness, because there is nothing to be a witness to. I am perfectly empty of all mental formations, void of mind, and yet fully aware. That's freedom right there. That's a beautiful description of freedom right there that he's telling us, right? Because no mental formations means there's no stories, no time in the head, no to-dos. Everything is done spontaneously through being. There's not a storyline of life. Oh, I have to get this done. I have to go there. I have to make this happen. I have to do. None of that. Imagine that silence. Imagine that peace. And yet to be fully aware. So you're not in a slumber. You're not in a state of tamas where you're being supremely lazy, right? Where you're avoiding thinking and avoiding to-dos and avoiding whatnots, right? This state here is really blessed because you're fully awake. You're fully aware. You can see everything going on around you. And because you are not colored by ego thought, because you are not in a particular state of mind based on body and mind conditions and circumstances, because you're not trapped in any of those, you can see the moment perfectly and you can navigate it perfectly. Because Sri Nisargadatta makes another statement elsewhere in this book. He says that all that is necessary for passing across the moment successfully is available in the moment itself. Right? So whatever knowledge is necessary for navigating the moment perfectly, whatever wisdom is necessary, whatever tools are necessary, right? It is the nature of the moment to carry within it all that is necessary for navigating the moment perfectly. And that is why we practice, right? To be in that state, to be in that state of openness, that state of full awareness, that state of no story, no slant, no trouble, no plot, no mystery, right? To be in that moment and see the world in all of its color and form and grandeur, and to watch it tremble before reality, constantly changing its face, right? So I am perfectly empty of all mental formations, void of mind, and yet fully aware. This I try to express by saying that I am beyond the mind. Questioner, well, how can I reach you then? Right? How can I reach you? Maharaj, be aware of being conscious and seek the source of consciousness. Hmm. Wow, that's got my mind running already. Interesting. Be aware of being conscious and seek the source of consciousness. That is all. Very little can be conveyed in words. It is the doing as I tell you that will bring light, not my telling you. Ooh, 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 ooh. This, this is the golden key to spiritual life right here, to religious life right here, right? It is the doing as I tell you that will bring light, not my telling you. Right? That's why that ties in with that verse that I read about the Mahayana scriptures, where it said that the Buddha did not teach truth because truth cannot be taught. You have to realize it. Right? And so the scriptures do not teach us truth, right? Because truth is Brahman. Truth and God are synonyms again. You cannot have, you cannot write truth down, right? Meister Eckhart makes that statement, you know. Why do you prattle on about God? Do you not know that anything you say about him is not true? Right? Because nothing can be said of him of that. Because he's always all inclusive and more. There's always that pesky little and more that prevents you from thinking you know God through the mind. It prevents us from seeing that. So be aware of being conscious. There's joy in that. We've talked about this. Just sitting and being conscious is a delight. And is a form of taking refuge in God, which is very helpful if you're in a mood or you're in a state of stress or you're unhappy with the way your life is. Let all of the narrative fall away and just be in the moment without a story and find how fresh it is. Find how beautiful it is. Even in a dimly lit, darkened room, that you haven't vacuumed and cleaned in a month, you can sit and be quiet in that shadow, and joy is available to you. There is a pristine you that's delighted by simply being, right? And just allow that self to be delighted by simply being. Turn on a sense and turn it off. Put your mind on your elbow, feel where it is, and then put your mind on your toes and realize how far away your elbow suddenly is. How can you be aware of so many sensations in your elbow and then think of your toe and suddenly be completely unaware of your elbow, right? These I just I just third party heard myself saying all this. I'm like, that sounds nuts. But
Mm.
yeah, sit there and do these experiments with yourself to see how much you can be aware of at one time. Can you not focus on a particular? Because that's our nature. Our nature is general. It's not particular. That particular is what's causing us all our suffering, that me and mine. But we are a general. And so see as you sit there being aware. See if you can be aware of both elbows. And now see if you can be aware of your elbows, your chin, and your left toe, right? And sit there and just keep adding and keep expanding your awareness, right? And see, there's a bliss in it. There's a true inherent joy in living. And this should never be forgotten because it is always true and always available to us if we set down whatever story is ruining it, whatever premonition or preconditioned version of your reality is. If you rummage deep enough in it, you come down to the moment, and the pure moment is Satchitananda. That means there's Ananda there, always. There's bliss, always, in the moment. You have to learn how to mine the moment for its bliss, which means to dig through story and get it out of the way. Right? Get rid of body, get it out of the way. Get down to the awareness, to that light of love, and expand it. Play with it, understand it, embrace it, right? It is good luck with embracing it. So be aware of being conscious and seek the source of consciousness. That's all. Very little can be conveyed in words. It is the doing as I tell you that will bring light, not my telling you. The means do not matter much. It is the desire, the urge, the earnestness that count, right? It's the really wanting it that's there. And we get in touch with the really wanting it by spending time in it, by doing our practice, right? By sitting in the presence, by meditating on the presence, by inviting that joy and that faith into our life, right? Giving ourselves permission to let go. All right, chapter 69. Transiency is proof of unreality. Right? That's the truth. That's that for sure. That for sure. It's transiency is, when I used to work in the clay studio, you just have your little ball of clay. You haven't decided what you're going to do with it. And you're just rolling it out, working it on the table, and it's taking all kinds of forms. And at that point you say, well, what is it? Well, it's nothing. It's just the clay, right? Being worked on the table. And as you go along and the idea starts coming to mind, oh, wait, I like that shape, stop that, pull this forward. What is it? Well, it's nothing. It's anything at this point. It can be anything at this point, right? And then it ends up being a toothpick holder, right? So you finish your toothpick holder. Well, now magically, that which was nothing, that which could be anything, is now a toothpick holder, right? So you go and you paint it and glaze it, and you put it in the kiln, and now it splits in half while it's firing in the kiln, and it comes out of the kiln. What is it now? Uh, well, it's trash. It's trash. And so you see, our mind tracks all of that and doesn't see it as unreal, doesn't understand the lesson, right? It's like, oh, well, now it's clay. Now it's a toothpick holder, now it's broken. But what is it? What is it? If it can be all of those things and none of those things, what is it? My God, what is this stuff? Right? What is this? The whole world is made of it. Because the clay is the easiest one just to see because it puts it right in front of our senses. But out my window, everything out there is exactly the same, right? It's exactly the same. It's like, oh, that's a bush right there. Well, God forbid a fire come through. That's not going to be a bush anymore, right? It's going to be dust that's blowing all over the ground. It's like, but what is it? What is it that can be a bush as long as it gets watered and then becomes a dry piece of wood when it's not watered and then becomes firewood and then becomes ash and then who knows what it becomes after that, you know? But what is it? That's the question we're asking, what is it? So this transiency is proof of its unreality. Well, is it? Is it proof of its unreality, or is it proof that there's something behind it that is sustaining it in all of its different forms, right? There is something that is wood, and then firewood, and then ash, and then whatever it became after that, some animal that ate it, or I don't know what happens to ash, but you know, that's the thing. What is it? And asking what it is the same as asking you yourself, what am I? Because I'm of the same thing that bush is of. And yet I have a sustaining sense of being. What is that? How is that? What is it in me that's tracking me as I, even though everything's constantly in flux? So our questioner asks, he says, my friend is a German, and I was born in England from French parents. I am in India since over a year of wandering from ashram to ashram. Maharaj, any spiritual practices? From going right to the heart of the matter here. All right, fine, all of that. Are you doing any practice? Questioner, well, studies and meditation. Maharaj, what did you meditate on? On what I read? Good. Okay, so there's a good teaching. So meditate on what you read. What are you doing, sir? Maharaj, I'm sitting. Questioner, And what else? Maharaj, talking. Questioner, what are you talking about? Maharaj, do you want a lecture? Better ask something that really touches you, right? Be conscious. Don't just follow your string of thinking here. What is it you want and go get it? Give it some form. Do you want a lecture? Better ask something that really touches you so that you feel strongly about it. Unless you are emotionally involved, you may argue with me, but there will be no real understanding between us. If you say, nothing worries me, I have no problems, it is all right with me, we can keep quiet. But if something really touches you, well, then there is purpose in talking. Shall I ask you, what is the purpose of your moving from place to place? Questioner, to meet people, to try and understand them. Maharaj, what people are you trying to understand? What exactly are you after? Questioner, integration. If you want integration, you must know with whom you want to integrate. Questioner, well, by meeting people and watching them, one comes to know oneself also. It goes together. Maharaj, it does not necessarily go together. Questioner, well, one improves the other. Maharaj, it doesn't work that way. The mirror reflects the image, but the image does not improve the mirror. You are neither the mirror nor the image in the mirror. Having perfected the mirrors, having perfected the mirror so that it reflects correctly, truly, you can turn the mirror round and see it as a true reflection of yourself. True as far as the mirror can reflect. But the reflection is not yourself. You are the seer of the reflection. Do understand it clearly. Whatever you may perceive, you are not what you perceive. Right? And this little lesson here is a great practice, especially as householders for going through a busy day. You can always be aware of the one going through a busy day. Right? You can always let what is changing remind you of that which is not changing all the time. And you can even experiment with it while you're watching. How aware of not being the doer can you become while you're watching yourself do something? A very fun experiment because you can get really close to the edge of not even being there at all, and the body will still go on doing the dishes. Right? See how close to
Sorry,
pull.
could you
Ah,
please repeat that? I'm sorry. Could you please repeat that?
yes, yes.
Going through the busy day.
Yes, as you're going through your busy day, let everything that is changing remind you of that in you that it's not changing, right? Sit there and see how aware you can be of being the observer while you're also being the doer, right? And sit there and watch and see how much can you let go of the idea of being the doer and just simply observe, right? This because this is the surprising thing to us is to find out that me being the doer is not necessary. You realize that that's just a way of thinking. That doership is just a way of thinking, right? And you can see it. But if you can remember during the day, instead of being so engaged, see what keeps us distracted is that we're interested in what we're doing. We're interested in what's happening. We're interested in what's changing in front of us. We're not interested in that which is watching it, right? So our energy is constantly being pulled into our senses. To watch the watcher is to keep the energy in yourself, right? To pull yourself inward. If you're walking down a busy street, a busy shopping district, right, on a Saturday before Christmas, and you're just sitting there, you just watch it, your attention's everywhere, and you are exhausted from that experience, simply exhausted by it. But I have done this experiment many, 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 many times. If you do the exact same day, but you don't let your attention be pulled out into all of the things going on around you, you keep your attention in yourself and become aware of everything going around you. that you are a point of presence that's inviolable in this world. You just think the world goes around you, right? Just it happens around you. And if you can pay attention to that and be constantly reestablished sitting there in your chariot of the body, watching it navigate Nordstrom's on the Saturday before Christmas, right? If you can stay like that, you realize at the end of the day, you're no more spent than when you started, right? That it's the scattering of your energy, it's the being pulled into your senses that exhausts you, right? But that exhaustion can be completely escaped if you simply don't let yourself be pulled in to everything around you. Keep observing it. Hmm. 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 Right? And you find that stress doesn't accumulate, anxiety doesn't accumulate, right? To-do lists don't accumulate. Just be and take care of it as it comes, right? Take care of it as it comes. It's a revolution I'm going right through right now in maintaining a monastery by myself, right? It's like at first, you think, oh, it's okay. I'll just put the dishes in the sink. I'll do them at lunch, right? And you start if you start living like that, stress starts building because every time you pass the sink, there's dishes in it. You're like, oh God, I got to get around to that, right? And then you don't want to get around to it, and then there gets to be too many dishes. You're like, oh God, right? And we get stuck like that because that's paying attention to the narrative out there and having a sense of resistance. Ugh, right? But remove the resistance and remove the narrative, and what do? Well, if you walk by the dishes, there's one in the sink, wash it. What is it to wash a dish, right? When you dirty a glass, just wash it. So whatever's in the moment, as it's presented to you, just do it. And then magically there's never dishes in the sink. And there's no stress of having to do them. There's no opportunity for laziness. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Right? Oh, Swami's not coming till Saturday. I've got 4 more days before I have to do dishes. Right? This is the mind. This is the mind. But to always be aware of your consciousness, be aware of being aware. There's so many secrets that opens up to you. One, it takes you away from stress and anxiety. It takes you outside of laziness, right? Because if you just do these simple things as you go in life, it's not a question of lazy or not lazy, right? You don't have to wrestle with it. And just accept these little things and keep going like that. Always being aware of being aware. That saves you from being exhausted. That saves you from getting discouraged. That saves you from feeling stress of non-accomplishment or of accomplishment. Either way, right? So people approve. He says, well, people improve each other. No, it doesn't work that way. The mirror reflects the image, but the image does not improve the mirror. You are neither the mirror nor the image in the mirror. Having perfected the mirror so that it reflects correctly, truly, you can turn the mirror around and see in it a true reflection of yourself, right? That if we get rid of egoism, which is the slant, the thing that's turning our mind into a carnival mirror, distorting our reflection, right? We get all kinds of wrong ideas about ourselves, and so we perpetuate them by thinking of ourselves that way, which is what an ego is, right? And so we get caught up in this wrong idea of ourselves. And he's just simply telling you here, it's like if you can get the mirror to reflect correctly, if you can reduce your ego, stop your attachments or minimize them, right? And stop your aversions, just come to a still point in the moment, then the mind is very useful because it will show you what you are, right? You'll see it clearly. And we talk about that in that silence behind mind is your identity, right? An identity that can't be dragged into time-space causation. It can't be dragged into the container of past, present, future. It can't be dragged into a sentence of subject, object, verb, right? You can only know it in stillness and silence. And to know it is to be it, because that's the only way God can be known. God can only be known by being. being that, right? Not being something else, simply being. That's the refractorless mirror, simply being. I am the mirror and the world is the image, the questioner asks. Maharaj, you can see both the image and the mirror, right? That's why you're transcendent to the two of them, interestingly enough. You can see both the image and the mirror. You are neither. Who are you? Don't go by formulas. The answer is not in words. The nearest you can say in words is, I am what makes perception possible, the life beyond the experiencer and his experience. Right? So that's the closest we can get to a description. So that's helpful. Let's read it very slowly and think about it very clearly. You can see both the image and the mirror, right? This is one of where that takes me immediately in my mind as I there's an ability that we have in the mind that's very interesting in that we can third party ourselves continuously. Do you understand what I mean by that? When I say third party yourself, it's like when you stop being either you or the listener of you, but you step outside yourself and look at the argument as a whole, but you step outside of it. It's actually the process of neti neti, the same process. You keep third partying yourself. You keep removing yourself from the circumstance and becoming the observer of the circumstance. As soon as the identity settles in of being the observer of that circumstance, you step outside of that and become the observer of that. Right? We have this ability, this nature within our consciousness to step outside of boundary constantly. And you can do it as often as you want as you watch your mind. And that's part of the practice of neti neti. It's part of the practice of disidentifying yourself with things that you have identified yourself with without even knowing it. You just keep stepping out of them. And as soon as you make a nest in the new place, you step out. And as soon as you get comfortable there, you step out, step out, step out, step out, right? It's because we want that space where our outcomes are not being decided by our thinking. Our identity is not happening because of our thought or of our attachments. So you can see both the image and the mirror. You are neither, right? You're something else because you can observe both of them. So that which can observe something else is by necessity not that something else. Well, who are you? Well, don't go by formulas. Don't start saying, oh, I am that, right? Because you don't know what I is and you don't know what that is. So what good is that sentence to you? So don't go by formulas. The answer is not in words. Important. That means that it's not going to happen in the mind. You're not going to, quote, understand something, right? The nearest you can say in words is, I am what makes perception possible. There's some wonderful things there, but they're subtle. I am what makes perception possible. First, you have to figure out, well, what is perception? And so study yourself perceiving. That's a hard point to hold right there. That's the razor's edge, sitting on that edge. Can you watch yourself perceive? Hmm. Wow, that's crazy, isn't it? You're trying to watch yourself perceive. You can, but it's like slipping over. It's like if you lathered a horse with soap and oil and you jump up on one side, for a brief second you're sitting on the horse before you slide off on the other side. It's kind of trying to watch yourself perceive is sort of like that. It's like as soon as you get a place where you're aware of the perception, you somehow slide off the other side of the horse and you have to do it again. Fascinating, right? The answer is not in words. The nearest thing you can say in words is, I am what makes perception possible, the life beyond the experiencer and his experience, right? So that's the third partying, the final thing. You're experiencing something. So right now, scratch your leg. Be the experiencer of the leg being scratched and focus on the experience of it. Feel the fingers, feel the fingernails, feel the leg, feel all of that. And now become utterly uninterested in that, become interested in the observer. Who is experiencing this? Well, it's the body actually that's experiencing this, right? The mind is creating a story about it even as we're doing it, right? And then you can just suddenly remove yourself from all of it. I can come back to be fully aware of just teaching or talking on the lecture right now. My hand's still scratching my leg, still carrying on just like it was, but it's not a thought in my head at all right now. In my head right now, I'm thinking about the next question that we're going to read. So you see all of this just from these simple little experiments. Become aware of them and start playing with them during your day. This is how we get to God. Right? So now, can you separate yourself from both the mirror and the image in the mirror and stand completely alone all by yourself? Right? Well, we just had an experience of that. You can do that. But our questioner says, no, no, I can't. Right? Probably because we're not accustomed to that. We're accustomed to throwing ourselves into the identity, becoming the experience, immersing ourselves in the change, right? But as spiritual people, we have to learn to do the opposite. Don't immerse yourself in the change. Establish yourself in the unchanging and observe the change and never be pulled in. That's the goal. Maharaj, how do you know that you cannot? There are so many things that you are doing without knowing how to do it. Right? Right now. This is part of that being aware of yourself. The number of things that are going on in your body right now are probably in the millions. Those that you know how to do yourself, probably maybe one, if you're lucky, right? And yet all of this is always going on within us. This is how we arrive at the fact that we're not the doer, because we simply don't know how to do anything, right? And you say, what do you mean we don't know how to do anything? Well, I'll do what I always do. I'll just sit here and go like this. How is that possible? That's profound. Because what's happening here? Thought, something from the subtle world, is emerging and expressing in change in the material world. How is something that's purely mental becoming physical? And how am I doing it? I have no idea how I'm doing this. I have no idea how is movement up here imagined somewhere happening out there in this world? And how am I able to do that without understanding any of it? I don't know what tendons I'm using. I don't know what muscles I'm using. I don't know what joints I'm using. I don't know what nerves I'm using. I don't know what language the nerves are speaking that's making this happening. I don't know where the connections are. I don't know where the switches are. I know nothing about how this is happening. How can I be the doer? How is it possible that I can do something without having any idea and of a level of complexity that would probably take me 4 years of a biology degree to even begin to understand? And even after I understood it all, I wouldn't be able to control the different aspects of it, right? Even if they told me how that's happening, I then still, without tons of practice, I still would not be able to go in and single out the muscles and learn to operate the muscles independently of how that happens, right? These simple things, you see, I know it sounds kind of silly. I sort of feel odd talking about it because it is ridiculous. It's so simple. And yet it's the mystery and it's infinite. The miracle of this is infinite. It's such a common thing. This is why they talk about us waking up. because we never consider these things. We're asleep. We just accept, ah, I'm the doer. I'm a body. I'm a mind, even though none of it makes sense if that's the way you think. None of that works. There are so many things you're doing without knowing how to do it. You digest, you circulate your blood and lymph, you move your muscles, all without knowing how. In the same way you perceive, you feel, you think, without knowing the why and how of it. Similarly, you are yourself without knowing it. There is nothing wrong with you as the self. It is what it is to perfection. It is the mirror that is not clear and true, and therefore gives you a false image. You need not correct yourself, only set right your idea of yourself. Learn to separate yourself from the image and the mirror. Keep on remembering, I am neither the mind nor its ideas. Do it patiently and with conviction, and you will surely come to the direct vision of yourself as the source of being, as the source of knowing, as the source of loving, eternal, all embracing, all pervading. You are the infinite focused in a body. Now you see the body only. Try earnestly, and you will come to see the infinite only. Right? So try and do just the opposite of what we're doing. All right. You can stop there for this morning.